case, CLG's draft here. Let's talk about their bans first. GP, Maple's obviously shown that he's pretty damn good at this champion. He had some pretty sick barrel plays earlier in this tournament. LeBlanc ban, another Maple special, one of his best champions, and Alistair, which is becoming a pretty standard ban throughout this tournament. Interestingly, we've seen a lot of blue side Alistair bans when I would think that Alistair is still a first pick worthy champion, but get it out of the way, I suppose. Lucian, Graves, and Maokai. Understand the Maokai, sort of understand the Graves, but with Nidalee and Kindred still up, I think maybe you don't ban Graves here. And then the Lucian ban, that's a bit of a question mark. Stixxay's been the big Callista player at this tournament, it has to be said. And that was probably going to be his default pick, I would say, because CLG has not been playing much Sivir.
So there's a couple of notables.
So it's like Ezreal, Lucian, and Callista for Stixxay.
So Nidalee falls through the draft. Very interesting. I don't know if that's happened this tournament.
Especially with Karsa, who, if you remember, at Worlds last year, Nidalee's banned like every game against Flash Wolves because Karsa was such a monster on it.
So the reason why we see Alistair banned on blue side is that they want to get Ryze on Huhi, and basically the big thing there is they don't want to give away Alistair and Azir, because they don't want to give Huhi Azir, because Azir has struggled. So
but why would you ban Alistair first?
I guess it's just...
I think you ban Gangplank first and you ban Alistair last. It's a small quibble, but if you ban it last, you may convince Flash Wolves to ban it first in their first two bans. Just a thought.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Maybe the Gangplank ban was like the least priority ban. Like maybe they could have pivoted somewhere else.
Sure.
But like it forces there not to be Azir Alistair in the first rotation on red side, because they had pretty much got their hearts set on Ryze first pick.
So I really hated this draft from Flash Wolves. Actually, I hated the second one more. But this one I don't like. Not because I think that necessarily the team composition is bad, but I don't like the Soraka in the first round of the draft. I know you want to take it away from Aphrodite, but he's got the Bard still, and as we know later in the series, he's going to play some Sona.
Is this the exact comp that SKT ran in Game 2 yesterday?
Yes.
See, I actually like the comp. I agree that the Soraka reach
It's the order. It's the order that kind of frustrates me here. Obviously, Aphrodite's drawn a lot of Soraka bans, but I just don't see it. It's a frustrating pick, but considering you're going to give Aphrodite something he's going to play, you're going to basically know he's going to play Bard here. Or, I mean, Hotshot was tweeting out yesterday that Sona is good into Soraka. Obviously, Aphrodite can play that as well. Now we know in hindsight that he can pick the Sona, but at least here, I would have assumed going into this draft that he would pick Bard. And in fact, I think that CLG's draft is exactly what I would expect them to pick with the picks that are available. So First pick the Ryze for Huhi.
Yep.
If Kindred and Echo are up, sure, take that. Because you're going to force MMD into Poppy probably, so you have a winning lane. You like Xmithy's been playing well on the Kindred. And then for the duo lane, if you had to ask me, what are they going to play into Sivir, I would say Callista Bard.
So I'm going to dissent with you on not liking the draft. Now, the reason why they reach for Soraka is that with Lucian banned, they're heavily expecting the Sivir lane, so they've got Soraka as like kind of a block pick to get through lane. As we have already some guests. It's not just
bearing gifts. Gifts of
friendship.
Young, strapping young lads.
Hello.
We're just in Champ Select also.
Hi guys.
Come on in.
How are we gonna create space for this, Monty?
We're gonna smash onto the couch together.
All right.
Are you streaming?
Yeah,
we're streaming. We're live.
We just started.
I won't sit on the couch, but I will say hello. Hello.
Come over here. If you have on the couch and then some on the floor.
Get in. Get comfortable.
A lot of people. I'll just cut all of them on.
That's right, baby.
Hi, Banished One.
Hello.
Banished forever.
The camera's there. Well, the camera was there. Now it's there.
Oh, wait. Gotcha.
Oh, you're doing VOD review. Okay.
So we just started looking at picks and bans for game 1. So what do you guys think?
Hold on, I can't see because the boobs are in the way.
Yeah.
And then if Diamond sits right here
Come
at
join us,
Papa's
Diamond.
feet, then we can get everybody in.
All right.
There's a lot of people in here, man.
We do. We have a lot of people.
We got Ryze, Echo.
Alright, I'm cutting you out, Seth, because...
Wow.
So CLG won the pick ban because they have winning matchups in every single lane.
You hadn't got that. That's a good point.
And, yep, so pretty much just when lane phase, win game.
Is Ryze a winning
Matchup
matchup?
into Azir.
It's even until you get blue, and then once you get blue, you can pressure the lane, and then late game, you have much better gank potential on Azir because you just run up and W him, and then you can just kill him because Azir has to use his WQ to get out, and that means you do 0 damage.
Mhm.
So then Ryze just wins the team fight because you obviously don't need to use your abilities to use damage in that sense, and then you just win. And Soraka's just useless in that sense because you can't do anything. You too, so.
Hey, picture.
Hi!
Hi. All right.
You guys
That's
want,
for Twitter. Now
you guys
can
want beers?
Analyze.
I'll take a beer.
Beer?
No, I don't drink beer.
Beer? Soju?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I had a
A little
bunch.
bit more
We
soju.
just
Yeah.
went through a Somek Tower at the Marble.
Yeah, we just drink beer.
All right.
How's Korea treating you, Diamond?
No, it's really good. I actually didn't expect such a good feeling from being here. You know?
Some hospitality from our man Achilles.
Yeah, it took us to the modeling. It's pretty good.
Yeah, he
Nice.
took us to such a nice place actually.
Yep. Drop the restaurant on stream so everybody knows.
Is
what
it your
is.
first?
Thank
Is it your
guys.
first time?
Yeah. His first
Oh, that
time.
marbling
First
place
I was
time.
actually very
Yeah, it's
excited
good.
coming here.
All right, so let's start.
I'm not disappointed.
Let's start the
I mean,
game.
you're still very famous here, of course, from the
beer.
M5 days.
Yeah,
Korea loved
maybe.
M5.
No.
Isn't it true, Monty?
What?
I was saying Diamond's very famous from the M5
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. Every
Korea
time
loved
on
you
solo
guys.
queue, when I fail, everyone says that you are not a good jungler anymore.
Aw.
Ouch.
That's so rude.
Oh man, the camera zooms.
Where's my Korea cameras in? Didn't see that yesterday.
I love how they span the tours when they do that.
Yeah, photo tours.
Yeah, that's just so weird.
They gave like CLG this nice swooping one, and then LMS they're just like, we're done.
Twitch chat is spamming to this right now.
That's my favorite.
I don't like the swap from Flash Rolls this game. It's really weird. The bot lane got ahead, but their top lane got fucked.
It's really 2v1 and they did like the fast push swap.
So COG 2v1, and then Flash Rolls pushed and swapped.
I don't think fast push swap is ever good. It's because like if you look at the CS and the top laner after they did the fast push swap, they got super far behind, and then like Kalista, Bard versus Sivir, Kalista or Soraka, they just ended up even, and like that's the matchup they were trying to dodge, and they just.
Say
Yeah.
talk louder.
Oh, I'm trying to talk here. Oh, hello.
I just didn't like the fact that Sivir Soraka isn't actually a good lane into Kalista Bard, so they shouldn't want that lane, but they ended up trying to get that lane. So CLG purposely swapped too, so I was really confused. I didn't know why CLG didn't want that lane, and at the same time, I don't know why Flash was wanting that lane as well.
I don't understand why, given the invade. If you guys watched the level 1 from SKT in Game 4 yesterday, where they, when the deep wards went down, they started at enemy red from the red side. And so you already had the wards down there, so you could basically they easily 3-buffed them out of that situation, and they kept their duo lane in between the turrets, and it was quite smart actually to like counteract a deep ward strategy and go in and just basically ravage the entire jungle. So I'm a bit surprised they didn't actually mimic that when they knew CLG was going in. I think we will see that tomorrow. I wonder if SKT is going to have something, or CLG is going to have something to stop that now that they know it exists.
And the preparation's been good, so.
Yeah. I was curious to see what they come up with, because that allowed yesterday Blank to take an overwhelming majority of the jungle.
Maybe a return to like the laners like showing up and like pushing out the wave before entering the jungle.
Otto, need your sender.
Oh yeah, we should turn that out. Thank you. We'll read it after the game.
Sorry guys, we only have one cam and we're trying to fit as many people as possible. You'll just have to hear voices.
One cam, 6 guys.
That's right, the casting couch is full.
I feel this is a very unsafe environment for me.
You're not on the casting couch. as far
You're
as I'm
fine. You're
Yeah.
just chilling over there on the laptop.
Yeah, she's just in Twitch chat. She's fine. That's right.
Twitch chat.
That's the safest environment of them all.
So, just early invades for harassment on both sides.
So actually, Flash Rolls got ahead off this. At least already cleared 2 camps, and Xmithy still has only cleared 1, and he's still on his red.
Yeah, they never invade the camp on the 2v1. So like usually when you do a 2v1, you want to invade to stop the duo from like doing doubles or whatever the hell they're doing. and they didn't do that. So Flash was actually got ahead, and then they did the push and swap, which was like actually not that good. And then CLG ended up getting red and Raptor camp also, which they shouldn't be able to do that. So that was actually a mistake by Flash Wolves.
It seemed like they didn't want to lose 3 buffs. That was one of the things I was thinking about, but like it doesn't really matter getting 3 buffed, because unless you're actually trying to gank mid, like at least like junglers right now don't really gank with the first buff in 2v1s. You just kind of farm it out. So I didn't really get it, but here at least actually gets both buffs, and it just kind of created an even situation where I feel like Flash Wolves could have gotten ahead just because they got extra camp and they can keep that momentum going.
So let's talk about why junglers typically don't gank in 2v1s right now. Because part of it is that because you usually start on your weak side and you're transitioning across the map into the strong side lane with your AD and support, if your jungler shows and wastes a bunch of time in the mid lane, the team that has the jungler not ganking has the option to farm up or just walk into lane and gain a tempo advantage and start pushing faster in a lane swap, which ultimately gets you more gold even if your gank is successful, and especially in a meta where you have a lot of TP mid laners. Even if you kill them, they're just going to show back up in mid lane instantly, so the effect is not so great.
Yeah, and obviously it's really hard to gank these champions. Like Ryze has TP, so even if he does die, he's not going to lose too much. Azir is a pain in the ass to gank, especially with Kindred and Ryze, unless you get like a really good combo on them, like CC Chain.
At least needs level 3 to gank too, by the way. So like MLXG, if you saw him in a lot of his series, is you can level 2 gank with Graves, that was his most played champion. And you can pretty much just show up with like LeBlanc or whatever. If you have a gank setup, you can just level 2 gank a lane, but obviously you can't do that with Elise because you need Cocoon, which is level 3. So.
One thing that we are going to see though is you can, in this series, you can gank Azir at level 2.
But not with Elise.
Not with Elise, yes.
You need Cocoon. And Azir, or Ryze, you have the gank setup with Kindred, but I think like you need something like LeBlanc that is chained to like really set up the play. If you Ryze root Azir, it's not going to kill him. He has exhaust and he has flash too.
So why do you guys think the Flash Wolves came back in and lane swap back into this lane? Because you were talking about it not being a favorable matchup. Does have a pressure advantage, but like a pushing advantage at least early. But why would they go back into this and just recall immediately?
I have no clue.
I mean, I'm guessing like they just assume that Soraka is a good. Soraka is an inherently good lane into Bard, but Sivir is not going to be able to punish the Kalista lane. So I didn't really see the point of them wanting this lane setup. It's just going to be even farm matchup, and that's pretty much what happens.
We're just going to pop ahead a little bit because nothing's going to happen here for probably quite a while. I forget at the beginning of this game if there was any action, but.
So I hate Soraka.
How do you feel about Sona?
I thought it was actually. I mean, I like Sona into Karma. They didn't let me play it though, but I thought it was fine.
No, it was good because like usually the problem with Sona is like the jungler just comes and kills you.
They did die.
Yeah, it's like super easy to kill the Sona, and Karma doesn't really have that good a gank setup, so you end up with like pretty much the same lane where it's like you both have poke and you both have like setup, like you know the Karma can W, but Sona later in the game has like a really good ultimate, and I think she got good ultimates on like the Kindred, and just like instantly killed her in the team fights. So you just end up with a better support in the mid and late game if you pick Sona, and you just end up with like a lane where you can heal up the poke from Karma. So I think Flash was kind of tunneled in the Karma pick later in the series. So I mean, I know it's like not this game, but yeah.
Sona is a good matchup in Karma because you have Poke and heal beats just only Poke,
Sure.
But the problem was that they actually did get ganked, and CLG lost bot lane in a lot of I believe last game. I didn't really remember. It was
No, the Sona died a lot.
Sun died a lot.
He definitely died a lot, but like somehow like Flash Hills made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Like over aggressive, and yeah.
Sona.
We're not even talking about this game.
Yeah, I mean, it was just interesting.
We can talk about the next game because nothing's happening in this game right now.
Hey man, we're farming, and Echo pressures Poppy.
Yep.
Until later, and then
Sivir has better wave clear.
yeah, and Kalista should bully that lane, and then Ryze just kind of outkills Azir because Ryze is the most broken piece of shit in the game, and you should never give him ever.
He gets played in all 4 games.
Yeah, I know. And that's probably why they lose.
Did it win all 4 games?
CLG won 3-1, and they got Ryze in I think 2 or 3 of the games.
3 of the games.
3 of the games, and they won 3 of the games. So
I don't remember which teams got what.
So
It's basically just Echo Poppy versus Azir Rise for this whole series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, top lane is kind of like this kind of fun fest. Like, sure, Echo has an advantage here, but it doesn't really matter. Poppy's gonna farm.
Yeah.
Nobody kills each other.
But I think Kindred outscales Elise, and I think Kalista is better against Sivir. And like Sever's supposed to like speed people up to like go into fight, and it's like speeding up at Azir doesn't do shit, and speeding up at Elise doesn't really do that much, and speeding up at Soraka doesn't really do that much. So I don't think the Sivir really fits with their team comp, to be honest. Like if you speed up like a Braum or something, or like an All-Star that can really get up in there and like start a fight, it's a lot better. But speeding up at Soraka, it's like I'm healing you faster. Like let's go.
Caitlyn pick here though, that would have been good.
Well, that's what's interesting to me is that NL actually in the past has played a lot of Caitlyn, but we haven't seen any real Caitlyn from NL in this tournament. But if I think back to Worlds last year, I'm pretty sure I remember him playing a bunch of Caitlyn. I was trying to think about all the tournaments I've seen Flash Wolves in. I'm trying to remember whether it was IEM last year in Poland or whether it was Worlds where I was watching NL play a lot of Caitlyn, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I know he plays it, and he has played it in the past.
Caitlyn is a bit different though, especially with the trap smacks that people have been doing now. Maybe they felt that it was better to practice Soraka than to practice like Caitlyn.
Well, not just here, but like usually when you pick Caitlyn, you need to put Caitlyn in the mid lane once like the towers fall in the side lanes, and you just basically trap up mid and you put pressure on mid. But Azir can't go into a side lane, so you don't really have that option. So like usually when you pick Caitlyn, you want to have a champion mid that you can put into a side lane like a Ryze or like a Zed or something, where you can split them out and then you can pressure mid. But if you don't pick Caitlyn for that purpose, like it doesn't really do anything. So I think they could have maybe done a different mid lane pick with that, but
They early picked Azir actually.
they early pick Azir.
There's Azir Soraka first round of the draft on the red side.
Well, that just sounds terrible.
I think they expected CLG to pick Caitlyn maybe. That's why they went with the Sivir. Because against a Caitlyn in this comp, Sivir wouldn't be bad.
They want to like run her down.
Yeah.
I got you.
I can't see that, but it's still hard against their comp. Like, running into Rise and Kindred just feels like suicide.
Yeah. I think CLG is one draft.
Everyone's wondering why Diamond's not saying anything at all. Do you feel unsafe here?
They just pretend he doesn't speak English. Pretends he speaks only Russian.
Just like chilling. Listening to what people say. Because I didn't watch that game myself, so I don't have much to say. I'm just trying to think.
What do you think then? Well, what do you think about the draft, and what do you think about the lane swap?
I think the draft was in CLG advantage for sure, and I think Flash Wolves did some really questionable things in their draft, but I kind of understand placing the Rise go through, but you need to have some kind of a counter against such a strong pick. I haven't really seen what the bans are, so I can't say, but Alistar probably was banned.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah.
But I think like if Alistar is banned, he probably should ban Rise because it's one of his hardest counters and actually allows you to play against Rise kind of.
Maokai was banned in the series, right?
Yeah, Maokai too. Oh.
And usually people play Maokai into Poppy too.
Yeah, so they gave away Rise and Echo at the same time while Maokai being banned. I don't think like so you get like weak
By the way,
mid and top at the same time.
That's the third cocoon in a row that Karsa has missed on somebody, so I'm not sure exactly how comfortable he is on that champion. He's now missed 3 out of 3 in his attempts to stop his blue buff or gank both of the lanes.
Yeah, SKT played this exact draft from Flash Wolves in Game 2 yesterday.
This is the first thing that I really didn't understand.
Yeah.
So, does it cancel? It doesn't cancel teleport.
Oh, missed the Q. Well, this could have been good if he hit the Q. That was good. But he shouldn't be sitting there trying to like defend the turret.
We teleported in.
He teleported into that
Yeah.
by himself. There was no
He should've just
defense
traded
there.
out on that.
Yeah, at least not going to be there for
But what he was
ages.
thinking, like,
No, he should have just traded out bottom there and like catch the wave.
they even have like
They basically just gave first blood for free and wasted TP.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Why would you ever TP into a 3 versus 1 situation?
look at that, they held the turret.
no, sometimes you can, but against Kalista and Kindred at the same time after 6, it's not a single chance you will survive.
Yeah. I've actually been really surprised to see so much range support picks this tournament.
I mean, All-Star is banned every single
Yeah,
game.
that's why.
Yeah, it is why. But before this tournament, nobody really played range supports, even if Alistar is banned.
I think a lot of that was just because like people No, All-Star wasn't banned in a lot of... Like, you
People-
look at LCK, All-Star was not banned in a lot of games.
No,
and,
it's
like,
true.
People would give him up in like first round draft. Like people would just pick All-Star. And All-Star is super OP because he has tower dive and he
Yeah.
can like sustain any lane he wants.
Yeah.
But if you look at the other tank support, it's like Braum and Trundle. And Braum and Trundle both can't lane against like a lot of these range supports like Bard and Karma. And you just kind of get dumpstered in lane, whereas Alistar can just heal up the lane and like potentially like power dive later in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of people figured out, halfway through the MSI is that, hey, like, wait a second, like, Alistar's won 90% of his games. Like, maybe, perhaps, Alistar is like OP.
Yeah. I mean, I know why Alistar's OP. I just thought it was funny that nobody played Alistar in NA and everyone played range sports, and now everyone's playing range supports while Alistar's banned. Is this like kind of
Well, there was Bard play, I would say, at least in Korea, but there
Yeah.
was one game of Janna the entire season in Korea, and there were 0 games of Soraka.
Right.
So,
Well, I don't think Janna's that good right now, especially since the nerfs.
There's one game of
And then a
Soraka.
lot of people will play like Karma
One game?
and Soraka and like Sona. Like, all those are, and Bard, all those are good champions in Janna. And if you have Alistar banned, it's like, usually what happens is people will pick Braum because he's the only other tank support besides Trundle.
Yeah.
And then all these supports like Bard and Soraka and Sona, they're all good picks into that lane, and you can just smash the lane. And maybe if you get out of lane phase of Braum, it's good. But it's super hard to get out of lane. You need to pick another lane that has pressure. And, it's kind of hard to pick mid lane pressure and top lane pressure when you have like Echo and Rise in the draft. So
No, I agree. I hated playing Braum into the range supports that everyone played in NA. I was like, just give me Alistar, please. That was just my go-to.
yeah, nobody banned Alistar before.
Yeah.
the other reason is because Braum can be very strong in the late game, but the thing is that range supports are often picked for, like Janna at least is picked for lane dominance a lot of the time versus melee supports.
Yeah.
But in a meta where early vision is basically impossible and lane swaps are basically 50-50, you can't really predict where people are going.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you can just dodge the bad lane matchup and have a vastly superior team fighting or late game support, so who cares?
On the Alistar ban, weren't we just talking to Ole about this yesterday, where he said, like, oh, just ban Alistar against Sword Art, and that he's, like, useless?
He was basically saying the fall off after Alistair and Bard to a lesser extent was a big problem for Sword Art.
It's just Alistar's is broken.
He can like carry a team.
Yeah.
He really can carry a team because he can like counter a lot of like mid lane and top lane matchups just because of the gank potential and the roaming potential. But like Braum, it's not instant CC, right? Like you have to like Q and like set it up. But Braum or Alistar is just like I instantly Q flash you, or like instantly like headbutt pull you.
Yeah.
Like he can do a lot of gank setup that a lot of other supports can't do. So usually what you want to do if Alistar's ban is you just pick a winning lane matchup and you just hope to God you win the lane, and then you pick stronger mid and top lane matchup.
I mean, in Korea, because it was so much double, triple AD carry, then Braum was obviously valuable for Unbreakable and breaking up sieges. So it was often like necessitated. Obviously, like the team that was running triple ADs then would try and draft Braum even earlier, so they would also have it. So it became a lot about blocking
And Nidalee,
projectiles.
too.
Yeah,
And Italy.
blocking projectiles with the
Or
Unbreakable.
like mid Corki. So, and what people have to understand too is that when a lot of the pro players were commenting on why is NA playing like Janna, Soraka, Karma, it was also 2 patches before this patch.
Because Corky's not even a
Yeah,
champion on this
Corki Braum is super good if there's a Corki on the enemy team and you're running.
Well, no. The big thing is people did not ban Alistar before this patch,
That's also true.
before this tournament. Like people didn't understand how broken Alistar was. And then a big thing here too is Bard heavily counters Azir, because basically if he WQs ever in lane or use it to like wave clear, you can Bard ulti him and then he's just basically dead. So you pick the Bard because it can heal up the lane against Sivir or Soraka. So you have an okay lane matchup, and then you just have a counter to the mid lane in that. And then it's just like, I mean, if you have a counter to the mid lane, you have Ryze that's just going to outscale. You just like so much catch potential against this team that needs to outrange you. And Soraka's just basically a useless sack of shit. So, I don't know. I personally don't like the Soraka pick, to be honest. I think they should have gone like Sivir and like Braum, or Braum is actually very good against Bard. You can just like kind of block like all the stuns, and then you can like set up plays because you just Sivir ulti, and then Braum can kind of run in and just like he can E the whole Rise combo, and then you can set up like plays on the Rise. But I think picking the Soraka so early was like a really big mistake from Flash Wolves.
The thing is, CLG's comp with Soraka would actually be extremely annoying. Their team comp won't be able to like, kill that one person fast enough. It's just Pewter's too tanky.
I mean, Graves was up in this draft. You could have picked Ron
Well,
Graves.
Graves is banned.
Oh, it's banned? Okay.
It was banned by Flash Wolves. I don't know why they banned it, but
Yeah, they shouldn't have banned Graves then. Graves' banning was a big mistake because usually you want to pick Graves into Kindred just because like Graves does so much damage late game against Kindred, and like actually in 1v1 Kindred against Graves late game, Graves wins. So
Well, Graves is like a
No.
frontliner in the lake.
Graves doesn't win 1v1 against him.
hey, you get the hell out of your bench, Diamond.
Okay, we go back home and we go 1v1.
Well, I mean, okay, on the new patch, Graves definitely beats Kindred, but on this patch, I think Graves he makes
No.
it like super late game. He can win.
Depends how many stacks you have
Yeah, stacks are a big thing. I'll agree with that.
and what they build. Like if they build the same, Kindred will win. I'm pretty sure.
Alright, I want to argue with that. Just
Like
because
maybe
the stacks are a big thing because if you end up with like 15 or 10 to 15%, you know, on hit damage, like of course, Kindred's like the hardest scaling jungle in the entire game just because of that. But, so I want to argue that. But like in the early and mid game, like if Graves like meets Kindred 1v1,
On this patch,
On
there
this
is
patch?
no chance. Kindred
No
always
way.
wins. Kindred always wins. Do it against Graves on this patch.
on this patch, I
Yes.
mean if you hit the Q, like you can win. I think.
No, you cannot hit the Q because there is like 2 seconds cooldown on Kindred Q, and she deals twice more damage. Even on the new patch, it's kinda difficult for Graves to do it Kindred, but on the old patch there was not a single chance. It was really dangerous for Graves to play on the old patch against Kindred, but it was manageable. Like if you just play safe until 6 and then play towards your team, it's fine.
Well, I think the big thing in that argument is like if you look at MLXG how he plays Graves. Like let's say if they have like the LeBlanc as your matchup, like Graves can do the level 2 gank and
Yeah.
Kindred can't do that kind of thing. So. Like Graves can do a lot more like dynamic jungle pathing, and Kindred has to wait kind of till level 3 before she can do that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, and Graves also farms it just a bit faster than Kindred, so it's good when everything is going passive for him.
Tries to heal himself up, and Staylock flashes back. He's already taken down Afro move. It's the who he teleport in. It's the Echo teleport in from Darshan. He goes flying forward, gets taken down after his chrono break. Xmitty going very low. They weren't able to use everything in conjunction.
So let's talk about some of the actual effects of this game so far, because it's a really interesting situation that there absolutely is no pressure on the side lanes from Flash Wolves in this game, despite the fact that...
Well, let's look at the dragon setup first of all. Like, are they fighting for dragon? What are they fighting for? Dragon's up in
40 seconds.
40 seconds, so they're basically fighting the setup dragon, right?
Yeah, but they should never have had this much wave clear coming into this game. They're playing Blade first Callista against Sivir Azir
Yeah.
with a tier rise, so I don't even really understand how Flash Wolves found themselves with all 3 lanes pushed in right here.
Okay, so basically Poppy's pushing top wave, and then bot lane Callista is like basically collapsing on the lane. Where is the Sivir at? Like, why can't she push this lane in?
If C sits right there, you could and sit down. And
No! It's too hot! I'm sweating. It's hot in here.
It is.
It is. Probably turn on the AC.
And it basically looks like they're scared to push out the wave because it looks
I mean,
like
CLG does have good control over that side of the jungle, and that's where Xmithy is, but how do you even get into this point in the first place? My question is, where is Karsa?
oh, it looks like the bot lane's just scared to fight, to be honest. Like, they have Soraka Sivir, so like, what's the gank setup on this? Are you gonna Sivir ulti and Soraka's gonna silence him?
Yeah, they will lose 3v3 for sure.
Yeah.
It's really dangerous for them to go out, so they just sit back.
It just looks like Callista, Bard, Kindred just win in the 3v3, and it's like I just hate the Soraka pick, to be honest. Like if you pick Soraka first rotation, that just doesn't sound good. Because you can see like, let's say Elise walks in the lane, right? Like how is Soraka supposed to set up the game? Like you're gonna Sivir ulti and Soraka's gonna run up and like bananas him or something? Like, what the fuck's going on here? So they can't push out the lane, and then they can't even get in for the dragon in the first place. So it's like, what is Elise supposed to do here? Like usually when people play Elise, they want like a Thresh or like something that's gonna help set up the play with them. And it's like Soraka doesn't do any.
By the way, Elise was last picked in this game, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Graves is banned. Like, so what are you gonna pick? Like Gragas? Like nobody played Gragas in this entire tournament. So like.
Nidalee also falls under many of the same problems that Elise
Nidalee
does.
was available this game.
Nidalee?
I still don't think it does
Yeah,
anything
Nidalee went
more
forward.
than
would have,
Elise
like,
does.
You still have no playmaking
No, agreed.
potential.
Nidalee Soraka is obviously like a lot of negative synergy.
I don't like the
stuff.
Soraka pick. I feel like they tunneled super hard on the Soraka pick in the draft, and it gave them no playmaking potential. Like when you see Bard, you usually want to pick like Thresh or like Blitzcrank or like Sona or something that can set up the play at this point at level 6 that can like actually kill the Bard and not end them.
They first rotation in Soraka, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Well, they banned Lucian, which was like an interesting ban on
it's
red
fine.
side.
It's
And
fine.
to me, they take the Soraka almost as like they want the Sivir and they take the Soraka to like get through laning phase. But it seems like such a reach. Like,
Yeah, Sivir
just
Soraka
take
just
the-
seems like a terrible bot lane.
taking the
because
Sivir earlier seems like smart, and you just deal with it.
I like the Sivir pick, but it's like if you pick Soraka with
Yeah.
Sivir, it's like what are you speeding up? Like Soraka's gonna run faster to heal. Like
She
what
does
do
that
you-
anyway.
Like what are you doing? Yeah, like, I think Soraka's just a terrible pick here because you're speeding up nothing to make a play. Like if you don't have any way to make a play to like collapse on the lane or push out, then CLG have nothing to be scared of. Like what does CLG have to be scared of outside of like a TP play? I don't know. I just don't like the Soraka pick at all.
So let's talk about this play right here, because that's the first cocoon that Karsa lands that's actually
Yeah.
meaningful.
Yeah, and you can see the Soraka silence, right?
Yep, it's
So
coming
what
down.
happens when they Soraka silence? Is Kalista ulti him out, right?
Right,
So-
but now there's a dragon fight coming up, and there is no Kalista ulti. And remember that Kalista ulti actually is their primary form of engage on CLG, because otherwise you're going to have to set up
they have
some
Rise,
sort
though.
of...
They do have Rise.
They do have Rise. Is going to have to flash for it, though, more than likely, against what they're presenting right now, because Flash Wolves can really easily kite out of this one. So, at least for Huhi, the flash is up, but Huhi also doesn't have that many stacks on his rod. I think he has 4 stacks right now. So only has a rod and a tier. So I would not be too confident about this fight if I'm CLG. I'd still be looking to try and scale up right now. Like, you don't need to fight... You don't have the Hurricane either on the Callista yet, so you're kind of fighting at your weakest moment, I feel, if you're CLG
Well, I mean,
right
they
now.
have Borg plus Zeal on Kalista. It seems like Kalista's much stronger than Sivir at this point.
They have good wards as well because they have a ward on.
So look at Sivir's positioning, right? Like, she's trying to collapse. Like, who's going to follow this up? Like, is Sivir...
Well, it was a good Bard ult, though, right?
Yeah.
Good Bard ult.
And it's a good ward for
But, like, who's going to follow up?
Darshan to come onto. Where's the parallel convergence?
So then they get the Echo
Is
in
it
there.
down?
No, it's not down.
It just seems like Flash Wolves just have no playmaking potential.
Was there a parallel convergence?
Okay, so basically the way mid-game and late-game teamfights work in League of Legends is you push out a sideway and then you set up
Bard
a flank.
ultimate?
You set up like a flank play with like your top laner, right? Or like who's usually a tank. But like, so what play are they gonna make here? Like, you see Poppy coming in, right? So who's gonna follow this play out?
He doesn't
No,
use
he's-
parallel convergence once in the whole fight. So he like eventually just goes in and dies trading 1-for-1 with Maple. So he didn't have parallel convergence. That's because he based first.
Yeah. And if we look here...
He's been super good at
He
parallel
definitely
convergence
he
this
definitely
tournament.
has it off cooldown, because there's a long period of time here.
Yeah, because he recalls and goes in base
Yeah.
and wasn't in lane fighting, so why would he have
Yeah.
used it? Is it possible he botched it trying to cast it too early during the channel or something?
Damn, Sivir just soloed the Bard.
Yeah. I know I actually had E. I had Spell Shield there, I'm pretty sure. If you Spell Shield that, they probably would have won that fight.
They do win this fight.
Do they?
Yep.
It looks pretty... Not
Bard
like...
won it harder.
Bard basically just died for free,
Yeah.
and then they traded 1-for-1 Maple for.
And there was
For
no
Darshan.
parallel convergence there.
But they can kill the plate so bad this one.
It was like Flash Wolves are kiting back into no vision from CLG, so and Stickside doesn't do any damage after the start, so
These have no threat on Kalista, so she's able to do whatever the fuck she wants.
but she also has no targets, so she doesn't actually do very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because she has no threat, she's just. I mean, like, you can see people are low and there's somebody dead. There's 2 people dead on CLG, and they're just able to do the dragon anyways.
Well, you're saying that he used it at the very end, the parallel conversions. But
I mean-
it's like
And
it's
then-
like by like
Where?
And then Carson runs up, like, by himself at the end of the fight, and, like, he's
I don't
trying to
know.
fight the Rise 1v1.
hang on. There's over.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't even cast it. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Somebody's.
But no, just look at the end of the fight. So Carson walks up by himself, right? So Carson walks up to fight the dragon, and then he has, basically you have a level 11 Elise that's trying to fight a level 13 Rise. And Rise is like God mode at that point. And you can see it, like basically Rise just solos, even though they're down 2 people, like Rise is able to just easily, like, fuck, he's like, you just mess up the Elise right here, like watch.
Rise has no ult cooldown these days, so just turn
Yeah.
around, blow him up.
So they get the dragon, Elise can't do anything because she has no follow-up. Like, Poppy can, like, EQ in here. It's not going to do anything. And they just lose the fight because there's just nobody there to back them up.
Are they?
I would say CLG won that fight. Like,
Never mind. I think people were just.
I mean, 2 kills for 1 kill and an objective, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 kill and objective.
but I mean,
Sure.
look how poorly this fight was set up too. Like, I mean, Africa got all here, but he kind of insta-dies, and L plays he doesn't spell shield.
People, that's what it was. People were thinking that parallel convergence is Echo's ultimate, not his W.
Ah.
Which is why they're saying he uses it at the end of the fight.
Get out of here, Twitch chat. You're drunk.
Because again, Darshan has been super good with the parallel convergences. We've seen 2, 3-man parallel convergences.
Yeah, if they're not casted at all, that's
I'm not
really
even casted. It's
uncharacteristic.
strange because there was like so much fight and like a really narrow choke. Strange. Because Flash Wall's like their only way to check things is either is either Echo. I'm just Poppy or Nidalee, Poppy or Echo. Poppy or Elise to walk with Soraka behind, healing them, right?
Yes. And Elise basically walked in, got soloed by the Rise, and it's like...
So at the end of this fight, though, they actually do get the mid turret, so it actually is going to be an objective for an objective, and then 2 for 1 and kills. So considering Flash Wolf is actually behind right now, I'd take it if I was them.
But you have a Poppy that's like
Useless.
40 CS down.
Yeah.
Because they've already got 1 dragon, so they're not too worried about this dragon stacking from CLG, and getting back that decent.
I think the big thing to look at is like how do Flash Wolves even start a fight? Like they can Poppy flank.
Yeah.
And it's like they didn't Poppy flank there properly because Poppy never really got on the back line before the fight started. And yeah, just looks like they're not fighting their starts like properly.
I mean, Poppy's not gonna get a flank here with Ryze and Bard and Echo. Like Poppy can't engage by herself. They need some other form of engage.
And a lot of people criticize, like haha, like NA's like playing Soraka and stuff, but like Soraka's not good because she doesn't provide a way to start a fight.
That's what we were talking about yesterday with Soraka, is because of the current jungle meta, where traditionally in many seasons of League of Legends we've seen junglers serve as primarily engage or tank roles, and because the carry junglers are so good right now, the primary engage and tank role is the engage role has fallen to top end support now. And so when you choose a ranged support, you basically are all-inning on your top laner to actually provide engage, because the Elise isn't going to provide true engage in the late game if you want to run a pick comp. But
the perfect cocoon. You have to hit like the god cocoon.
Well, it's either that or you take dragons and kite backwards with a Azir, right?
It's not really stacking up to that.
You can just have no initiation if you want.
Yes, you can have no initiation, but you are committing to being at every objective first and setting up the vision better at Baron
So
and
you
Dragon.
can't really choose to lose lane and have a kite back comp, which is what a lot of teams like SKT were doing for a long time.
Including your kneecap.
Or you can't choose to have no wave clear, right? Because if you can't control the side minion waves, then you can't get control over Dragon to get there first to be able to kite back and force them to fight you.
I think a good thing to look at would be Immortals and like the LCS. Basically, if you look at the way that they play, they've always played Rek'Sai or Gragas or something that can kind of like sort of start a fight. And basically, any teams were so bad that they would just like once the Rek'Sai burrows in or the Gragas starts to fight, teams would just like continue to fight, even though they were playing like range supports. And they would kind of bait it into a fight. And the situation here is like, if the Elise hits the cocoon and they get a pick, CLG would have to be bad enough to where they would have to get baited into continuing to start a fight and at least hit the cocoon, right? Because Soraka doesn't really have much follow-up CC.
Sure, but in a world where they have 4 dragons and you're forced to face check them, this comp works. But in a world where they have losing lanes and will never get those dragons, they're just kind of screwed.
Exactly. So basically, like champions like Soraka are just not that good. And you look at later in the series where CLG picks like Sona into like some of these like poke champions like Karma. Sona actually has engaged, right?
Sure.
With Flash only.
Yes.
Yeah, but with distortion, Flash is on
that's
short
true.
cooldown anyway.
In the last game, I remember like Sona just gets like some clean ult on like Kindred.
Yeah. No, Afro has very good ults, but the problem with Sona has always been that you can't reliably engage without Flash.
You can counter engage, and
She's a good secondary.
It gives you an option.
The other fun thing about
Soraka gives you 0 options.
The other fun thing about Sona is that if she doesn't die after Flash crescendoing, in the backline she actually does a fuckload with her auras.
And Bard gives you engage options. Soraka does not give you engage options. I just really hate the Soraka pick. And yeah, like people are all talking about, hey, look, like SKT's playing Soraka, like look at it. If you don't have enough engage tools, and you can see they have no engage tools in the mid outside of Azir, like insecting people, the Poppy has to get like a flank, and Elise has to hit a cocoon, right? They just don't have like that many like consistent engage tools in their team. So if CLG plays smart and they just like cut out the engage, they can just win every single team fight. So I think Flashwolves has really lost out on the draft by picking Soraka picking this. And I think Soraka is just not a good champion, and there's a reason that no team in the LCK ever played it before this. So
I think there was one game that won like randomly, like it was like a freak or something, but yeah, it was not a common pick at all.
yeah.
It was one Janna, one Soraka.
I mean, Soraka just smashed these Janna. And I guarantee if you look at that game, they had other engage tools in that game. And Azir is not an
Also, it was
engage tool.
Gorilla playing his like one Janna game a season.
Yeah.
That was the only Janna we had.
I'm still really sad they took out this potion. It's like,
No.
it makes me so sad. It just takes out, like, support engages. Just, ugh.
I totally forgot the canvas is there. And so I just like walked past it everything. Sorry.
Who's the girl?
Whoops.
Grill?
Grill.
What the fuck?
Grill.
Grill? Grills don't exist on the internet. Come on.
Yes.
Why did Huhi?
Is your Wi-Fi Beaver Fever?
That's my Wi-Fi. Yeah.
We're on stream, by the way.
It's okay. What's the Wi-Fi password? They won't.
Give me your phone.
They won't get in it, dude. I promise.
Beaver Fever. There actually is one called Beaver Fever. It's great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I saw that last night when I asked for it.
I'm on the Beaver Fever.
So again, though, we see the look. I don't even know what this teleport is from Huhi.
Well, he's like, I'm gonna split push this in hip, maybe not. And then he emergency teleports home.
Yeah, he's just scared.
Scared of what?
They don't
don't have vision.
any vision at all.
Yeah.
They have 4 people in the
That's
mid lane
true.
right now, and they're
So
running
how long
after
do they-
them.
Okay, so let's assume
Worst case scenario with their single TP that Poppy somehow gets onto this pink ward right here. And
look, you certainly shouldn't be scared yet, but you can understand him being scared in like 6 seconds or something.
okay, so but here's the thing. Here's the thing. So because of the current warning, yes, there aren't any wards in this part of the jungle, but they do have wards here and here, right? Ergo, they can't walk through. If they're walking through from here to cut him off, he's going to see them coming. So as soon as he doesn't see them coming through river or here to cut them off where they do have vision, worst case scenario is they're walking through this path right here to get to him, in which case he should be able to easily run away.
No, he's scared of the home guard. Just coming from base. Because then CLG actually lost vision of them for a pretty long time from what I see on
All
the
right,
map.
all right.
That's what I'm
6
assuming.
seconds.
Let's talk about this. Let's count. If they have time to get an 8-second recall in from when they lost vision.
So they have vision now, obviously. So let's assume
They still see it
now.
now. So
25,
50.
56.
Also, there's zero chip mid, so yeah. CLG just doesn't know where they are at this point.
So when does he start teleporting?
All right, fair enough. It's been 10 seconds now. So
It ends up being like 15,
Oh, the
right?
other thing is Azir can
Yeah, it ends up being
shuffle
13
through the waves and try to catch him behind, and then he will not be able to TP because Azir will interrupt with the ultimate.
Look, I think it's too safe, but like, it's not like complete fail.
egregious.
Yeah. I mean, it's alright to be safe. Like, literally, this is such an intense situation. They're like even. They just got a free trade top. The play here should just be make sure we don't die, make sure we don't lose Baron. We're gonna win the game. So,
And realistically, in this particular situation, they don't need a TP on Rise.
yeah, they have Echo.
So they're not trying to initiate, really. They did just do the 1-3-1, but realistically right now, if you're CLG, you're going to want to fight at Baron anyway. Because they have no engage. So as long as you maintain priority onto Baron, it won't be an issue.
I mean, you just want Rise there. Like, Rise is the frontline guy. You just want to fight like this.
Here we go.
Dude, look at Soraka's playmaking potential.
She's done some healing.
What's going on? Does Soraka just sucks?
I feel like especially if you're Sword Art and your team really relies on you for engage, why would the Flash Wolves make this decision?
No, he's going on.
And the diamond, we need you.
Look at him healing. Just, oh, no, man.
Darshan deep under the turret. Chrono break is there, but it's not necessary just yet. As they continue to close in on kills, they continue to sing.
Ah, yes, the run at the Moor approach.
Darshan dodges one last attack out, but the execution execute is there from Barca. CLG looking for the ace. The respite is down and it heals the members necessary and allows.
I think 100% CLG has lost the draft this game.
One more attempt.
They had 0 winning lane matchups. They had 0 playmaking potential outside of like the
Yep.
sitting equilibrium, and it's just like.
I mean,
Wait, he said CLG.
no. He meant.
No,
he meant
CLG
like-
won the draft.
yeah, big time.
Flash
I
Wolves
agree.
have 0 playmaking potential.
You said
I know he.
No, CLG wins the draft. Wins the draft.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I've been drinking. Bye, folks.
Twitch chat wants to know, can you tell us some more about how you feel about Soraka?
She sucks. And she throws bananas, and she doesn't do anything. Soraka's like the champion that's like win lane, win game, but the thing is, there was a 2v1 this game. They lane swapped into like some weird thing where they just ended up laning against Bard Callista. Callista beat Sivir, and Bard can just heal up the Soraka heal, so it doesn't matter if you don't win the lane anyways. And then you just end up with more playmaking potential out of the Bard, and you're like, how are you supposed to start a fight with Flash Wolf? So you just can't start a fight. Ryze has more fight starting potential than Azir. And Echo can just kind of do whatever he wants because he beats Poppy. So like, how do you do anything with Flash Wolf's team comp?
Well, you don't, and you lose.
Yeah, you just can't. You literally can't do anything. Like, you can play this game perfectly as Flash Wolves, and you just can't win. You just. I don't think there's anything they could have done won this game unless they at least went off like God does. That's pretty much it. Like, you can't do anything. Like, you can't gank bot lane. Like, what are you supposed to? Like, you can't gank bot lane because you have Soraka. Like, Soraka, and then it's like Poppy. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, E into the Echo? And the Echo can just E away, and then like, you can't gank mid because the only thing you can do is like the Shurima shuffle, where it's like, what are you supposed to do? Like, how can you win this game? You can't do anything.
Right now they say shut up about Soraka. Just keep
It sucks. Soraka sucks.
I agree. I'm glad you're here to back me up on that, say.
Okay.
Because everybody said that, oh, SKT's played Soraka now. You said Soraka sucks. I was like,
I mean, SKT plays Soraka or not, I guarantee if you look at their team comps, they have ways of starting fights and making plays.
so let's talk about something else as we watch this horrendous team fight. So we saw a lot of the rise of top lane Gragas, and obviously like Poppy and Echo are super good picks. But if you want to run a range support, I do feel like top lane Gragas gives you a really good engage option that you don't have with some of these other top laners. And it seems like it's still perfectly fine to play top lane Gragas. So I'm a bit intrigued as to why that hasn't been the case.
We have
also,
seen one this tournament.
Yeah. Also, mid lane Lissandra.
Kick
So
us
do you
to
guys
the
have
house.
thoughts on why we're not seeing more mid lane Lissandra or top lane Gragas? We have seen both. But not a lot.
I think Lissandra kind of fell off just because the mid laners would just take cleanse, and
But then they can't take teleport, which gives you something to give you the teleport
well, the
advantage.
thing is with that is basically when Lissandra makes a TV play, you just go and get the jungler and be like, hey jungler, like David TV bottom and killed our like support or whatever. You just go push mid. You just push mid with the jungler.
But I mean, like, for example, like, Rox Tigers love to run Sivir, Lissandra, Poppy comps, right? And Sivir just sits in mid and they double TP and
I
Lissandra
mean,
has
Rock
to
Tigers
wait.
aren't at this tournament.
Sure, that's what they ran that and innovated the meta with that, and then for it just completely drop off with no Lissandra changes is surprising.
Oh, I mean, it's because people learned how to play around it. Because basically, Lissandra, the problem was is that you would just TP into the bot lane or the top lane, you make the play, you kill the bot lane to the top lane. But the thing is people learn that if you TP into another lane, guess what? Like, who the hell is mid to defend the lane? So you just get the Greys of the Kindred who are very good at pushing turrets, especially that red buff, and you just like push the mid lane turret. Oh, never mind. Red buff doesn't apply to this patch. My bad. But basically, you just show up mid with whatever jungler you have, was Greys or Kindred, who are both auto attack junglers, and you just push the mid turret down. The ADC backs up. You probably usually kill the support, and you trade mid for top, and then you just have a combat summoner over the Lissandra at the end of the game, and you end up fighting for a dragon or a baron, and you just have a better combat summoner, because you can't go in the mid laner who has cleanse, so who do you glow on? But by that point, the ADC has a QSS, and you sure as hell can't go on the Echo or the Poppy or the Maokai. So,
No, but I've seen plenty of games with Lissandra where the self ult plus Zonia's is enough.
The self ult
to zone.
scales like crazy, like
Yeah.
it's like 40 to like 80%, like the highest level. So
I mean, it's definitely good, but people, it's a snowball champion. Like, you have to go off, and you have to snowball, and people just learn how to counteract the snowball, where they can just choose to push the mid or the top lane instead when the Lissandra TP is no other lane. So that's like basically the main reason why people stop playing Lissandra in the first place.
So why no top lane Gragas?
Why not top lane Gragas? Just
I
because
think that's actually one of the strongest top laners in a composition with a ranged support on your team.
he doesn't scale very well. I mean, if you look at him compared to like Poppy or Echo or Maokai or any of these other champions, like, yes, Gragas can start fights very well, but if you ever played Gragas in like a high level game or like even in like solo queue, you'll notice that in the late game, if an ADC actually gets very fed, it's really hard to tank that ADC. Like, no matter what items you build, your damage falls off really hard. Like, yes, you can start a fight, but your damage falls off super hard. Like, all of his abilities don't, like, yes, he has the W, but you just don't feel the same damage as you feel from a Poppy or an Echo or Maokai. So I feel like he just falls off. Like, his mid game is super strong. Like you saw like the Mortals versus TL like at the playoffs. But if you go to late game and you don't snowball really hard, he actually falls off super hard. What did it say? What did it say?
How much
We can
beer
turn
does
it
it
on,
take
by
for
the
you
way.
to dance like fiddlesticks on stream?
Amen. A lot of beer.
I have a lot of beer, fortunately.
Yeah, let's go get some more beer.
Some soju.
I have that too. Whiskey, whatever you need to be
You got the whiskey?
fiddlesticks.
Dude, it's hot in here, man. I'm like burning. Ugh.
Yeah,
That's why come sit over on this side where you're closer to the window. That's
I'm
open.
getting in the window. I'm gonna cuddle up with Diamond Brox.
All right.
Alright,
Yeah.
move. Yeah.
You got
So,
the fur.
so what do you? So let's ask some more general
Yeah,
No, no,
questions.
sit in
Come on, I'm
there.
gonna step out the door. It's like, we got the breeze.
So I'm gonna ask some more general questions. So what do you guys think about CLG's performance so far at MSI? Because it's been way better than I think anybody could have reasonably expected.
What do you mean
Thoughts?
special?
It's hard to understand what really happened. They've always been a team where their players have been good or in some cases really good, but their team play is what really put them apart. They weren't like, obviously who he isn't the best mid laner in NA or at this tournament or anything like that, but he just does his job. His team does their job, and they have Afro doing the work, they have 6A doing the work, and they're just going off in this tournament, and it's just they're putting in a lot of teamwork in it. It's actually very inspiring, very NA. It's like all these underdogs, and they're put together, and they're playing against the Russians. Sorry, no, and then like they come back. NA's been losing for years and years. They come back and they finally win a tournament, and then the movie ends.
Ah, yes, to win the tournament part. Hasn't happened yet, though.
That's so cool.
Well, I mean, it's part of the movie, right? So hopefully the script goes along with what I've been told.
Okay, so
But I mean, like, more than the sum of the parts
What's
is,
this?
like, not the first NA...
You have a cat?
Like, that's Cloud9, right?
Yeah, of course.
Cloud9
But
was the same narrative.
yes, but the difference is that Cloud9 didn't move
I know.
on too
I
far
can't see that.
internationally. This is the first. I mean, obviously, this is the first time where NA actually got to the finals. And the last time was literally season 1, or the closest we got was season 1, where we got 3rd place with TSM, and that's kind of been it since then.
Poorly.
Unlucky.
And yeah, it's
What do you
Yay,
what do you
so-
think about CLG?
Yeah, I got Saint on
I think
stream.
They're playing good, and the part of it is because they found their niche in the meta that they play on right now. I feel like it really benefits them a lot. Like the Darshan is their like shining star from my point of view, and also their jungler is like really good. And those both players like plays the champion, which can actually make a difference in the game. And it's usually a TP plays from the top laner, which wins you the game nowadays, and the map control from the jungler, which gives you some advantage or an edge over an opponent in the early to mid game or even in the late game. So those two players like really were doing this great job all the time, but it was not all the time so benefiting their team. And also, yeah, their AD carry is kind of much better than anyone expected, I guess.
So what about you saying, specifically with Darshan? Because like the one thing for me is that like it's not the Vladimir split push craziness of before. Like Darshan especially has been playing everything, like the meta champions. Like, has he evolved? Was he always this player? Because he's been really impressive to me in terms of showing up on the global stage this time.
I think if you're a top laner right now, it's not about how good you are, it's about how well you play with the team. And it's like, if you can get the counter matchup in the top lane where you can put pressure and you make a TP play, it can really shine. And then if you look in every single one of the games of the series, like I know we haven't gotten there yet, but there's always a playmaking setup with the support. And I feel like Flash was really failed in that, where, I mean, how the hell is Soraka supposed to set up like a TP play for their top laner here. Like I was like, I got you with the heal. Like, got him. Like you can't do anything, and it just feels like who he's hanging on for dear life, whether he wins the lane or not. Like I remember one of the games in the series, he was down like 30, 40 CS, and it doesn't matter because they just make the TP play and they win the game because they have the better playmaking support in the bot lane, and it looks like Smithy's just outplaying Clash Wolves junglers. So it looks like they just have better TP plays, they have better team concert setting up plays, and they have better it looks like Smithy's actually playing really well this tournament, and he's setting up plays better and putting the wards down that Darshan can TP for, and they just end up playing the team fights better. And yeah, I just think CLG won like 3 games of the draft in this series. Even the game that they were like losing, I think it was the second game where they were losing really hard. I think they had Sona or something like that. Like Sona just provides more playmaking potential in the late game, and they ended up getting a really good ultimates off on the Sona and a really good playmaking potential off of her. And they just set up really good TP flanks from Darshan, and they just ended up winning off of that. And it's just, I think CLG just like went out in the draft like every single game in the series. So
I wanted to point out actually with Darshan, since we're talking about him, is that at the beginning of the split, CLG was actually really gimmicky, where they were kind of just having Darshan 1v9, and that was how they were for multiple weeks. And then you saw how they slowly transitioned from Darshan doing that to what they have now, and it was a very gradual. Like you could see week by week that they were getting better and better at it, and I think that's such a big testament to how strong their coaching staff is. Just the fact that they were able to switch their style, and even though it wasn't working, the players trusted it, and eventually paid off in dividends where nobody expected CLG to be a top #1 team coming out of NA and being top 2 at MSI.
And that's the thing, is like you play those, gimmicky split push champions, like for example the Vlad, they had the Udyr strat earlier in the split, right? That's why the surprise is that he's shining at this tournament, playing meta and teleporting and doing the team things better than other laners that have never been like his identity of top laners.
Right, I think it's very admirable too, just because, wanting to 1v9 is a very solo queue-esque, like very, I'm going off.
I know, it'll win you some games.
Yeah, it'll win you some games, but when you want to win in a team game and you want to win in BO5s, then you can't really do that. And, CLG's done that. I think it's awesome.
I think it's more an Afro mode, to be honest, than Darshan. Like, if you have somebody who's setting up the play for you, like, you can even be, like, terrible at top lane, and then if they just set the play up for you and they have the wards for you there, you can just TP in and just, like, set up the flank and, like, just be there for the play. And, like, how the hell are you supposed to set up a play with Soraka? Like, you could be the best top laner in the entire world.
You've established the Soraka point.
Yes.
Retire Soraka.
Can you tell us your thoughts on Soraka?
Well, no, you can go to the next series. They have Karma, right? Even in the next game that we haven't even looked at.
We are riveted for your comments on Karma when we get to that.
Okay, so Karma is like another champion.
All right, I got some questions for you guys. Do you think that CLG has any chance to win if SKT plays in group stage form?
No.
If SKT plays in the group stage form?
Or group stage form?
I mean, objectively,
okay,
we have to say
yes. Group stage form,
they did beat them, so...
But, like, that doesn't matter. Like, they're
50-50.
best of 5 form.
But let's think about international tournaments, right? There's been so many one-sided ones. We had Samsung White versus Royal, which would have been, say, 95% Samsung White.
Mm-hmm.
I'd give CLG 15% at least to beat SKT.
Okay, that's pretty good. 15%.
But given how one-sided...
That's the most we ever got!
We good there, man. 15%.
That's still a lot more than I would have given, like, Royal and other teams in the past. Like, they've looked legitimately impressive.
Yeah, I think CLG, if they get the good draft, they can win.
You're a generous man, Papa.
Well, the issue is that, like, they are outmatched in lanes, like Kuhi versus Faker. Like, on the surface level, you're like, well, these players don't stack up.
I just see no way in hell that Huhi could ever match up against Faker.
No. That's the problem.
But he doesn't need to.
The way I feel about
Sure.
it, to talk about how you guys were talking about Darshan, one thing to consider is that Duke has gone back to like early SKT season TP timings where he's like super late on his TPs right now, and they could lose games off of that for sure.
They could, but it's like...
He's like 3 seconds late.
Yeah, he's late. He's late. I'll agree with that, but I see no way that Huhi will ever match up against Faker.
But I mean, how many
Also-
top 9 series did they win? Where
Also, Faker will play Cassiopeia into his rise. You know what I mean?
I can see
that he did that in the finals here in Korea.
And he played Fizz into Azir, which like Huhi had a really bad Azir.
No, he's terrible at Azir. He's
Yeah.
terrible. So that's the other
Yeah.
problem.
It
Is
is,
like
that's the
I
What-
just see them manning Rise and then just picking
Yeah.
Fizz into Azir and just like demolishing the hell out of Huhi. Like they're gonna see exactly like Koma's gonna be like, hey, like Huhi is the weak link. Like, and we're
you
gonna
ban the
target-
Azir. That's gonna force them to ban.
No, ban Rise.
Or ban Rise, but it's going to force CLG to ban the Azir, I think, because he can't play it, and you can't give Faker is here
So
right
what's
now.
who are you gonna play?
Exactly, and Faker's champion.
Aurelian
Soul! Yeah!
Yeah, exactly. And Faker's champion pool is literally everything.
Yeah.
So
I just think that who he's gonna be the big determining factor. It's so you know what's supposed to be funny is like CLG. They're wearing American flags and they're all American team, and the weakest player on their team is the Korean player. It's just like
That was said on Invent today. It was very funny.
yeah, it's just so silly, and like that's the import player, and he's the weakest player on the team. So God bless America, the best region in A.
Do you think SKT will bring out Bengi for other games? Do you think
No.
Darshan is a stronger top laner than Duke?
No.
I think Darshan is a weaker laner. I think Darshan currently has better teamwork than what I've seen.
Darshan
from
has a
Duke during
much
this-
better
To be
tournament.
honest, I always thought Duke was like the upgraded Billy Boss. I never thought Duke was that great, to be honest. He had late TP timings, and
Harsh.
his landing was really weird. No, like if you watch them play, they have the exact same play style. It's just like Duke's like slightly better. He's like
A rich man's Billy Boss.
he's a rich man's Billy Boss. That's Duke. He really
We'll
is.
pass that on to the OGN crew to ask him in an interview next season.
Yeah,
He doesn't even know who
Saint
Billy Boss is,
No.
dude.
He knows who
No
St.
idea.
Vicious is, though. So, like, we can say St. Vicious said it.
Hey,
They remember you from OGN
nice. I should
back in the day.
Hey, we lost.
So what do you guys think?
Exactly.
This is an interesting conversation for you, saying, because you're a coach. So what do you think about blue side versus the red side in the current meta? CLG prioritizes blue and
Explain it.
SKT prioritizes red. Is one side better or is it style based? Because we talked a lot about this yesterday, considering that we had all those, like SKT was red the
Like,
entire
Royal
series.
chose blue and
And
SKT
in the
chose
Korean
red.
finals, both teams picked red side every time.
Well, it depends on how well you play into Echo, which I think is a big thing, and then how well you can counterpick mid lane. If you have a mid laner that can actually like, because basically red side gives you, it's like, hey, I'm gonna see your mid lane pick, and I'm gonna get to pick something that's gonna counter it, right? And that's the big difference between blue and red side. And if you pick red side, you're gonna give up 1 OP for blue, so it's like I'm gonna see the Echo usually in most cases. And if you have a top laner that can just deal with it, and then you have a counter pick for whatever mid lane pick they pick, then you can usually just. I mean, I think red side's better if you have a good mid laner, to be honest.
So does it make sense then for CLG to just pick blue?
Yes. Oh no. CLG should not pick blue because, like, what the hell are they gonna blind pick into Faker? Like,
Right.
yeah, like
Yeah.
no,
And
they're gonna
it's-
ban that. They're gonna
It
ban
is
that.
also important to
Oh,
note that Huhi basically in the entire regular season played only 2 champions, which were LeBlanc and Corki, and Corki is not in the game
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, I think if CLG picks blue, then they'll lose 100% because you're basically giving Faker the counter pick, and if you give Faker the counter pick against Huhi, like I see no way that they're ever gonna win the game. Like it's just not gonna happen. And Duke is like not the shining star, but I don't see where he's gonna lose the game for them if they play against Darshan in whatever matchup he has, whether it be Echo or whatever. I think that SKT will probably ban Echo and they'll probably ban Rise. And then they'll just take whatever matchup that Darshan plays, whether it be, Poppy, Maokai, I don't know where the hell else he plays, like Trundle, and they'll just play that matchup out, and then they'll just counterpick mid lane, and then they'll just win off of that. So, I just think if CLG picks blue like they did before, it's just going to be really bad for them. It just gives a SKT a way of just like exploiting Hootie.
But they did give Maple theoretically the counter picks in this game, and
But he
Maple's
never
a very good-
counterpicked.
That's true. He did pick at least in this game. I forget if he counterpicked later, but he did pick the Azir early on.
Yeah, and that's not a counterpick. Like they never really took advantage of their counterpick mid lane, but to be honest, it's like what counterpicks Rise? Like nobody can give you that answer because Rise is just
It's OP.
yeah, he's just OP. Like if you're gonna give if you're gonna pick the side to get the counter pick and you don't like ban the champions that are good blind picks, then you're just gonna lose the game. Like Rise can be picked into anything because once you get blue, you just wave clear with your ultimate and heal, and then you're just the most broken piece of crap in the entire game late game, and it doesn't matter. So you just take away all your advantages on red side. So I think them not banning Rise is just really bad for them. So, anyways,
Should we move on to another game?
let's go next game.
You guys want to stick around, or are you guys gonna go hit the bars?
I'm gonna hit the
I mean,
bars.
it's up